Ladies and gentlemen, this week there have been two unfortunate incidences that have really attracted our attention. The events of yesterday at the burial of former Mount Elgon MP, Serut, were quite unfortunate. But then on Friday, there was also another bad event that happened in Meru. So I want us to look at these two because in my understanding, it is really a cause for alarm. Yesterday, the politicians from both Kenya Kwanza and Azimio were attending the burial of former Mount Elgon MP, Honorable Serut. And the Kenya Kwanza team was headed by Moses Wetangula, Cleophas Malala, and Kabuchai MP Karasinga. Then on the other Azimio side, there was the Governor Wangamati, amongst other leaders. So a fight ensued, or rather some clashes were witnessed there. And categorically, I think the media tried to cover it so that they don't seem to be seen biased. But of course, if you look at what caused the chaos, was on the statement by Cleophas Malala. Cleophas Malala rose, and I'm very sure he spoke before Wangamati spoke. In fact, just in order of seniority, in terms of protocol, Wangamati is the host governor, and also Moses Wetangula is the host senator. So I feel he spoke before these fellas, and he mentioned some words there that did not sit uncomfortable with that crowd. And I want you to listen to that bit here.
Ukiangalia upande wa Azimio, wale viongozi ambao wanatembeza Raila wote hawasimami kura. Eugene Wamalwa hasimami kura. Oparanya hasimami kura. Kitui hasimami kura. Jirongo hasimami kura. Sasa nyinyi hata huyu Wangamati hasimami kwa sababu alishaanguka.
Now guys, even if you go to a funeral, this is a place where people are mourning, and you take politics there. Of course, we've always been seeing politicians taking the burial ceremonies for political battlefields. But there is something that Cleophas Malala ought to have realized, that the crowd was already a charged crowd. He needed to have done the audience analysis, because I'm told immediately he mentioned Wangamati, and that is his area, someone shouted, "Stop it." And from there, the clashes started. But of interest to me is not even on the clashes. The widow, Pamela, was actually saying that they had intelligence a day before that some youths had been paid to cause havoc in that burial ceremony.
Tabia nimeaibika. I'm embarrassed to be a support. Hiyo maneno tulikuwa tumepata jana, kuna watu walikuwa wamenunuliwa. Why do you people make yourselves so cheap? As a family we are mourning. Nyinyi kitu mnakimbilia ni pesa kidogo. Mnataka kufuruta hii tent chini. Mnataka kuumiza watu kwa nini?
So, and again, that begs the question, if he's in Mount Elgon, Cleophas Malala is from Kakamega, honestly, he is not even the person to go there and endorse someone. If there was supposed to be an endorsement, it was just maybe from Moses Wetangula. But then, people wanted to heckle the governor. So, to that extent, what was that for? Because it was local politics at play. Now, let's go to Meru, where Mithika Linturi was attending a Meru leaders breakfast that was being convened by the church leaders from Setam. Then when he went to the podium, he started talking. He said about elections, people have been fighting this country because there are people who are perennial losers and do not want to accept defeat. Then it had to take the intervention of Bishop Callisto Dede to go and cut down his speech. In fact, was telling him that I'm not very sure whether I need to make you continue, I need to allow you to continue talking. It was very embarrassing. That UDA politicians are very desperate for political capital. But what is really bringing this desperation? Because if you look at everything, things are falling into pieces. When William Ruto was abroad, he's trying to fake a meeting that did not really exist. Back home, people, they went to a meeting and there's a backlash. And I think the bishop mentioned that the meeting was supposed to bring peace and unity in Meru. But when you attack one presidential candidate, then it demystifies the need, the core goal for that meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, or I want us to look at some 4 issues why there is a lot of desperation around the deputy president. But before we look at that, if you're watching this video and you have not yet subscribed, I want to humbly request you, click the subscribe button. Also, click the notification bell. When we publish a video, you will always be notified. And thank you very much for your continued support. These 2 instances have actually reminded me that within UDA, things are falling apart. After, and let me just take you back to Mount Elgon. After Cleophas Malala, after that clashes, someone even tried to stick on the choppers of these 3 leaders. And of course, if you want to know that it was quite unfortunate, Moses Wetangula, Malala, and Kabuchai left in one chopper. So they were the team Kwanza and Azimio. Then we were reporting an Azimio Kenya Kwanza clash, but in real sense, the people that brought the clash were the Kenya Kwanza team. And what exactly is bringing that? My number 1 reason is there is a lust for power in Kenya Kwanza. You know one thing that the leaders around Deputy President have known? They're now sensing that Deputy President is not going to be the 5th president of the country. And this is now what is trickling down to those leaders, because they are now making it upon themselves that the leadership positions, the elective positions they are seeking are do or die. Just the same way in the national arena, Deputy President have made the elections a do or die, a must win. Now, this lust for power is making them go extra mile, and they think that in every situation, in every ceremony, you must gain political capital. In fact, I've always wondered, why do you go to a funeral and you want political capital while people are mourning? In fact, in my own assessment, their emotions are high. You want to talk politics. And of course, I know the way they do it. You have to part with some brown envelope, and in exchange of airtime, you give family some few thousands. But you must also be very careful on what you're saying, because they have realized that up there is no hope. Down, the ground is hostile for them. There is a very bad appetite to seize power. This is one of the things that is causing this. Number 2, the UDA team, or rather the Kenya Kwanza Brigade, are digressing from the disillusional agenda. And I've used the word disillusional agenda intentionally. You know, the initial agenda by UDA was the hustler movement, the bottom-up economic model. Now, let me tell you, the hustler movement attracted more attention when it was hustler versus dynasty. But immediately the dynasty narrative fell flat. The hustler nation remained standing, and then people do not buy it, because again, the people that are saying hustlers are attending rallies in choppers. Very expensive cars, are moving around with the very expensive cars, and Kenyans are not fools. People are saying that, look here, you're telling us you're hustlers, you're not one of them. So that has fell flat. Then the bottom-up economic model, I've always mentioned that as much as it looks very well, very good packaged English and easy to pronounce, but people in the ground do not understand it. That is something that Deputy President and David Ndii and some few economists around him understand. They know what they mean, they know what it can do, but the common man do not understand. So there is that mishap between the two. Because these two aspects have fell flat, They have left with no option. There is nothing they are telling Kenyans. That is why they have resorted to make emotional attacks. Poor political messaging. And I don't know, because when Hussein Mohammed was employed to lead William Ruto's presidential unit, I was actually very optimistic that I was going to see a change in political messaging. And political messaging is this: you might have a very good strategy that you want to campaign for William Ruto, but that must also be in the you must also look at the reception on the other end. In simple terms, you must do audience analysis. Because if you do your audience analysis, you will actually avoid such embarrassing moments. Now, the political messaging is two-way. You either sell, you must know when directly to sell my agenda and say, you guys vote for William Ruto, support William Ruto because we believe on bottom-up economic model. You must know when you're going to say that, and you must know where and when to hit your opponent. But even if you want to hit your opponent, you must be cognizant of the fact that I am in a place where equally we have supporters. I want to believe this. If Wangamati or the Azimio team did not have many supporters in that burial, then even that heckling, even that Malala heckling wouldn't have been consequential. There is nothing that would have happened. Maybe if we have some 10 people only supporting Azimio there, nothing, we wouldn't have witnessed those clashes. But just one person saying stop it, it charged the whole crowd, and I was actually told that Azimio team outnumbered the Kenya Kwanza. And that is why immediately after the widow, after Moses Wetangula spoke, they actually did not sit there. They left. They vanished quickly because the Azimio team outnumbered them. So you need to know, in terms of political messaging, what to say and to what extent. I really want to believe that also applies to the Meru. This is a political meeting. This is a religious meeting. And you know very well that there is Azimio and there is UDA. But then you just go directly and attack, the people. Honestly, I think that is also another point that they need to consider. Lastly, the Kenya Kwanza team are lacking what I call a rallying call. Rallying call, and I think universal rallying call. Universal rallying call is something that repetitively sinks on minds of your supporters. It gives you identity, or from media we normally say a sig tune. It's a sig tune of your campaign. And to make us understand a rallying call, let me take you to Raila Odinga's side. When Raila Odinga talks about the unity of purpose, Azimio la Umoja, even the name of the movement is Azimio la Umoja. Even in that coalition first, it gives you the rallying call. And by the way, that's why the Azimio la Umoja name cannot be changed to Azimio Oka, because the rallying call is in the Azimio la Umoja. The unity. When he says that we want to take the country to where our founding fathers wanted it to be. Let me tell you. That is already a rallying call, because if Raila Odinga is talking maybe across the road and I am here, and you hear the word founding father, please be found within our borders. Guys, even a 5-year-old boy will actually resonate with that word and feel, okay, our founding father. At some point, someone had a father. And it is prefixed even in our national anthem. So it looked like, yes, a very national, universal rallying call. Let me tell you something. My background in media, and I worked in radio. Radio is normally one of the media that is called transient media, which means that you only have a second to listen to what I'm saying. If it goes, it goes. So you have always to be very captive. And that is what Raila Odinga have done. Is very captive because of the rallying call. On the UDA side, let me tell you the rallying call. The rallying call is Pesa Kwanza, is it pesa mfukoni, the bottom up economic model, kwamba sisi tunakuja kusaidia watu, the hustler movement. Now let me tell you, it's a very good idea of supporting people at the lower part of the pyramid kupanda juu. But have you ever asked yourself, what about the people at the top? What about the companies? What about the keroche? And secondly, what about the people at the middle? Are you talking about the teachers? Are you talking about the doctors? Are you talking about the nurses? Are you seeing the labor movement in it? So that is why it is non-inclusive. Because of lack of rallying call, there is nothing universal that they can talk about or that they can make public that people can resonate with. High time for William Ruto to come back and re-strategize. Let him find a rallying call. Let it sink among his supporters, among the leaders that are championing for the Hustler Nation or for the Kenya Kwanza team, so that when they go somewhere, even if they attend a burial, they don't do emotions. They don't use such events only to spark emotions. Guys, that's my analysis.